Well, I am really excited for this conversation. I think it's going to be filled with just strength and encouragement for other young moms. So we have Diana Kirk here today, who is our founder, executive director of Divine Connections, but has just a beautiful story of being a young parent. And we have Lavata Haggard here as well. She works within Divine Connections as well, but she has just another beautiful redemptive story about being a young parent as well. So we're bringing these two together to just bring some encouragement to listeners who are also young parents, and hopefully you'll walk away with some action steps and just feeling good.
Welcome to Divine Conversations Podcast, a space where faith meets real life and community stories lead the way. We're here to lift up the voices of BIPOC families navigating housing, healing, mental health, and so much more. Whether you're a parent, a provider, or someone walking alongside our communities, you belong here. Each episode, we share honest conversations, resources, and real stories of resilience. Together, we're creating a space for healing, hope, and divine conversations, where healing begins and stories rise.
So I'm going to start with Diana, and then you can jump in too. But Diana, tell us a little bit. We have heard some of your story throughout our podcast journey here, but share a little bit about just your journey as a young parent. Like, when did it start? Yeah.
Yeah, so I had my first son, Ray Leon, when I was 12 years old.
What's Ray?
Ray.
Leon?
Yeah, his name is Ray Leon.
Okay.
Yeah, but everybody know him as Ray.
Yeah.
Or he's rap, so they know him as Max Streets. But I had him when I was 12, and I think that just having him kind of changed everything in me.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that when I had him, I still lived with my mom, and so for a couple years there until I went into foster care, she helped me a lot right away, and then ended up helping me later because we kind of reunited. But yeah.
Okay,
that's amazing.
What about yourself?
I would say for me, I graduated. I got married the day after I graduated. Very, very crazy. I found out I was pregnant at 18 and had my first child at 19. And had the next one 18 months later. But,
and daughters?
Yeah, two girls. It was very challenging. Even as a wife, I was a military wife. And during my pregnancy, he went on his first tour to Iraq. So I was alone.
Yeah.
And it was very challenging.
That's a lot to deal with. Military wives, that's a lot. I think I want to start with like the strengths side of things, because we always hear so much of it is hard. It is. But what is one thing looking back that you are most proud of as a young mom? And either of you can start with that question.
I know for me, I think it's the fact that I stayed in school.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that it was only because of the program, like Habitat, which was a teen parent program. So they basically picked me and my son up from house, and took us to school every day and brought us home. And then I took parenting classes 2 hours a day, and Ray was in daycare and then actually he ended up in preschool and kindergarten, but before I graduated. So, but I think that's one of the it was hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of is the fact that, because I was a mom from 7th grade forward. No, I was pregnant in the 7th grade, and then was a mom from 8th grade forward. So the fact that I finished.
Yeah, that's huge. Oh.
Well, I quickly became a single mom after the birth of my second daughter. And I'm grateful that I had accomplished quite a few things after, but I would say I'm most proud that I chose me and my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that. Because the marriage was very tumultuous, and I never wanted to be a single mom. I grew up in a household with a single mom, and I saw what my mom went through. But at the end of the day, I had to choose me and choose what was healthy for me and for my children. And yeah.
Wow. Really breaking that generational piece there, I think. Even if you don't see it as that, I think. Do you see it that way looking back, that you were able to kind of, and you as well? Because I do think, well, yeah, I'm just curious.
I do. I do because, God restored me. I'm remarried with who I'm supposed to be with, and it looks a lot different. This is a love that I feel every day. So yeah.
And can you each, there's like kind of the term that your first child grows with you as you grow, like they grow along with you in these stages of life. But as a teen parent, you're still a teen. And you had parenting on top of that.
I was a child.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about what that growth, as they're growing, you're growing still in this teen space?
So I wanted to say a couple things. I think one thing for me is that for generations in my family, we have been teen parents.
Okay.
So my mother had me and my brother, I believe at 17, 18, or either 18, 19. And then same thing with my grandmother. And then I think before that with my great-grandma, it was just what it was. We just had kids young. And so it had been generations. And I know for me, one of the things, I didn't want my kids to be a teen parent.
Yeah.
And I almost made it, but then I believe that Jelaine got pregnant with RJ, my first grandson, when they were 18. Or were they 19? Like, I was super close. And because this is one of those things that generationally I would prefer to stop.
Yeah.
You know, but even though I wouldn't trade my grandbaby for nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and so I wanted to say that, you know, I think in our communities that you will find that teen pregnancy is generational. And that we've had kids young. And so, but I also think in that same sentiment that our families have always helped us raise our kids.
Yep.
Especially if you're in the same town with them.
Yes.
A big part when I was alone with my son is because I chose to stay here when my family had returned to Texas. And so, but I will say that I was a child. And when I look at the difference and the experiences from what my kids are, so if we look at Ray and my oldest son and my youngest son, Lavelle, they're 10 years apart. I think I had them in 89 and 99, right? And so their lives, the way that they grew up, like those first 10 years are completely different.
Yeah. It's a whole different childhood.
It was a whole different childhood, because so I was in my 20s, still young, but I knew I had been through a lot, and I knew a lot more about the time I had Lavelle, where Ray had, a 13-year-old mom. And so we went to school every day, and we did these things, and we were on welfare and Section 8 and public assistance. By the time Lavelle was born, I don't know if I had graduated from college yet, but I was definitely working. I think we bought our first house when he was 2 years old. And so their experiences were just completely different.
Yeah.
Ray Leon went through so much with me when I was the worst in my alcoholism, when I had the most anger, when I had the most unforgiveness. He, all of that, when I was going through domestic violence, homeless, foster care, he went through all of that with me. Where Lavelle knew none of that, and so it's a big difference because he grew up with me, and I can't say, even though some of that was my personal trauma, it's just as much his. I figured out later because he was right there.
Yeah.
So he might not have understood and knew everything that was going on, but I know today how much it affected him.
I just realized, is we both have two different generations of kids. I just realized that.
Oh, yeah.
Similar to Diana, I was much older, still a teen, but much older. I do feel like my two daughters, Serenity and Destiny, grew up with me. I was so new to the world. Like I was learning how to take care of myself and take care of them at the same time. But to Dee's point, I have three more boys. They're Trey, Levi, and Kai, and they're 7, 5, and 1. And I joke with Serenity and Destiny. What Serenity asks, she says that she had to crawl so that they can run. But I joke around with them about that. But I do feel like the boys get a me that the girls didn't get, because I feel like with the girls, I was in survival mode.
Yeah, that's so true.
Whereas the boys, I'm a lot softer. I'm not as I don't have as much
Reactive.
anxiety,
Yeah.
reactive. Whereas the girls, I was always just, just concerned and worried and frustrated and just trying to keep everything together. But with the boys, I don't have those fears.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do your kids ever, does Ray ever see the difference that you're talking about between ACs?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And I'll let them have this conversation on this podcast one day when I interview them. But I do think that's, that Lavelle felt it. And I remember one day he's like, I feel like I was just born. Like I didn't do anything. I was just born.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, because when we had him, he was born with just me and Jamar. And for years, it was just me and Ray.
Yeah.
And so that was really hard,
Yeah.
with me getting married and having kids and stuff like that, because it was just me and him for so long. And so, and he do know the difference. Ray know the things that he went through that Lavelle did not.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely, we've heard it all through conversation, through music, from Ray, through Lavelle writing something,
Yeah.
It's definitely a difference.
They see it. Thanks for sharing that. There's so many good questions. But what helped you believe in yourself as a mom? As a teen mom with those younger kids?
I'm going to say I saw my mom do it with 5. I saw her do it with 5, and she might not have had all the resources that I had, but she had 5 children, and I only had 2. And if you can tell me that we grew up poor when I was little, it was just, we were carefree.
Diana has said that too. Yeah.
She took us on, we went on a vacation, a long road trip about once or twice a year. We did a lot of fun things together. But I saw my mom wake up every single day and go to work and provide for us and take care of us in a fun way. She had her challenges, of course, but overall, I know it was possible because I saw her do it. So that's what gave me the courage and the motivation to just keep going.
Yeah. What about you, Deanna?
Repeat the question.
What helped you believe in yourself at that point in time as a teen mom?
Yeah. I don't know if it was necessarily a belief, but I always say I feel like I was just fueled by anger and to wanting to prove people wrong. And I see this in my oldest son too. But I wanted to prove people wrong that I could do it, because I think people expected me to have a lot of babies.
Yeah.
They expected me to never leave the projects, and especially the people in the church. I heard them talking. I couldn't play with their kids, and the kids couldn't come over, even though we were all doing the same thing.
Right.
But I was the one in my family that didn't have the money for the abortion, or and so, but just how they looked down on me and the judgment, which is why immediately I got a thick skin where I didn't care about what people said about me, because if that was the case, I would have been taken out a long time ago. And so that fueled me to prove people wrong, And so that was part of my motivation. The other part, I've been in parenting classes since I was in the 7th grade. Right? And so 2 hours a day, every school year. And so when it came to especially like the early childhood stuff up to kindergarten, I knew all the tricks, I knew all the tools, whatever. Like I took parenting classes for 6 years straight, every day, 5 days a week. And then I was in them at night when I lived in Women's Transitional Housing once a week. So when it came to that early childhood stuff, I felt confident in that, and I knew it. And so not only then from the class, and it was different than what I had saw. It definitely wasn't how I was raised and what I had saw, but I had saw my mom and auntie and everybody raise kids, grandmama, and what they're teaching me, what I've been taught by these white women, these classes were definitely different. And so that was interesting in itself, but yeah, it was the older stuff that it was when my kids became teenagers and got older, where I knew nothing and I began to struggle.
Did your mom, because for our teen moms, we offer the moms like all these classes. But did your mom also did she ever go to parenting classes? Was that ever like services wise, like these wraparound supports. Did she ever
No.
get any of those? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure my mom was out of school by then. I know she
Yeah.
went back and got her GED, but no, she had to go to work because my
Yeah.
grandmother and take care of us. My grandmother was not doing it. She wasn't going to take care of us, and she wasn't going to watch us. And so my mom had to. She was out of school.
Okay.
She went back later and got her GED.
My mom was a teen mom as well, and she had no resources,
Okay.
none.
Yeah.
So I think it was a different time.
Yeah.
For sure.
For sure. Well, I think that's a piece of breaking that generational piece is like the services, right? That you were offered, engaged in for years. I can't imagine taking parenting classes that long.
Every day.
Did it help? Did you feel
I got
like
school credit?
Because I do feel like sometimes what we hear, whether it's our organization or others, is like, I have to go, like it's too many classes. It's not helping sometimes. But like, did you find that over time it was helpful?
I think it was definitely helpful when our kids were younger.
Yeah.
I think it definitely was. I mean, I think by the time I became a senior, I could have taught the class, you know, because I went through it all over and over again. But you know, luckily Jody was interesting, and she pulled me. I did other stuff. I went and spoke to other young moms and different things like that, and I think she would try to make it differently. So I think because of our relationship, it was fun.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say about the importance of and how you found a mentor as a teen mom? Because that's something that you've talked about often with Jody. And so, yeah, could you speak to that a little bit?
You know, I think I was really lucky with the relationship that me and Jody had, which was my teen parent teacher. And, you know, I've interviewed her before and talked to her, and she was just like, it was just something in me. You know, so she really did take me under her wing, and I was able to, me and Ray would go to her house and, you know, and have dinner with her. And I seen stuff like, used to blow my mind, like, y'all not locking y'all doors. Like, I came from the projects and they live in Park Point, you know, and I remember forgetting, like, y'all not going to lock that? So we sleeping in here and y'all not going to lock the door. Y'all just leave this unlocked. And it was stuff like that. I remember seeing, like, you know, the father take a shower with the daughter. I'm like, what is happening here? But it was no big deal. It was nothing. You know, watching everybody having dinner at the table every night, them reading books before bed. It's all the stuff that she was teaching me to do, but to watch it in action, I really didn't have that. You know, we wasn't necessarily being read to. We all slept in one room. We went to bed. You know, and usually my mom was at work, so we weren't necessarily eating at the table. But the kids might have ate together, but definitely not necessarily with the parents.
Yeah.
And so it was just very different. I learned more being put in that, like we talked about earlier about that exposure, about putting her environments how other people live.
Yeah.
But one of the things that was the most impactful was the way they talked to their children about college. So there would be these conversations about college, because she had older kids as well. And it wasn't optional. It was just like just like you graduate from high school, you drink water. It was just like, where you going? What you gonna do? This is gonna be like. And I was like, what? We didn't have those conversations. Not even about like graduating from college. We're just trying to survive, right? My mom was trying to figure out how we were gonna eat next week, that she was still gonna have her job, how she was gonna get to work. And so it was just having that exposure of like that really had significant impact.
That's
on
amazing.
me.
That's amazing.
I would say my mentors came from the community. I don't know why, but I always gravitate towards older women. And I met this woman from my church, and she just took a liking to me, and she was just very kind to me. And I got to see how she interacted in her household with her husband and with her child, you know, and it was actually one of the things that helped me to realize that my marriage was dysfunctional.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was my community. It was people, you know, people in my church. My mom, she lived thousands of miles away. So, you know, I could call her, I could talk to her, but just having that, you know, presence be here and help walk me through it. I didn't have it for a while. She did eventually move to Texas, but it felt like a long time. I was on my own winging it until, you know, the Lord sent me an older woman who would take me and, you know, Serenity to dinner and just sit down and talk to me and just seeing in action, seeing how she lived, seeing how her life was, and just back to that exposure, you know.
That's so good. That's so good. So to the mom who feels like, well, that's great for you, but I don't have that. what do you say to that? And how can they find someone?
I think that you have to be open to look outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Jody was an older white woman. We had nothing in common,
Mm-hmm.
except we had
Yeah.
we had kids the same age. And Tillin, if you're listening, was her and Ray was something else.
I wish I could have seen that.
But I think look for it to come from unexpected places.
That's so good.
Whether it was like I had a relationship with Tony. She was the only Black counselor, and she was in my life.
Mm.
She was a mentor. Then later it was Heather, my foster mom, who did daycare. And these were people who I had nothing in common with. They looked nothing like me, and so I think that sometimes we're looking in our circle.
Yeah,
we're hoping that it'll be like a friend or a family or someone else's mom or whatever. And they might not have the capacity, or you might be like here. A lot of people, us in Duluth, we are not with our families, our extended families. And so I think that to look for it in different places. And I think it's okay to even ask. I feel like our stuff kind of happened naturally, but now I also tell people it's okay to ask somebody like, would you mind mentoring me?
Yes.
It's funny you said that because my response is going to be just, ask.
Mm-hmm.
You see stuff on social media all the time, but imagine if you saw a young girl saying, "Hi, I'm having a hard time. I'm looking for a mentor."
Yeah.
How many people would jump to that? There's so much. Is it called crowdfunding when like people do GoFundMe and stuff like that?
Yep.
There's so many people out there who want to do good things. They want to help the next person. They don't know where to start. They don't know where to go. But just raise your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Raise your hand. So if you don't have that community that Dee was talking about.
I love that. And I do think social media plays such a crucial role as well, that even if you can't necessarily or you don't feel comfortable asking, you can still at least see it on social media, through other people until you build up that strength to slide it in the DMs. So you talked a little bit about the survival piece of being a young parent. What was the turning point when you felt, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just curious, but that turning point when you went from survival to thriving, or when you went to survival to, I feel like I can carry this?
I didn't know that I had made that transition until I watched how my daughters responded to me. I had transitioned from places of employment, and my daughter was like, "Mommy, you working so much. I'm used to you being home with us." And I was reminded, like, my old job, I had the luxury of just taking time off. Like if they needed me at school, I could just take time off, or I'd take spring break off, or I'll take a big chunk of the summer off.
Yeah.
And when it's like they knew I was available. They expected me to be available. When I look back at growing up, my mom missed a lot of my school stuff and my conferences because she was working. So the fact that I was able to take off work, be available to my children, and still be gainfully employed, it was like, wow. And it seems so small, but it's so big to be able to show up for your child, and not have to worry about what we're going to eat tonight. What we're going to eat tonight is a choice. It's not are we going to eat? It's where are we going, But I think the transition for me from survival mode to, okay, I can breathe a little deeper is when I realized that, like, my kids don't want for anything. They're asking for my time. They're not asking for,
that's good,
hot water or, a hot meal, because they know that that's coming.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's good. For me, I don't know when exactly it stopped, because I feel like I had that mindset for a long time, even though it wasn't necessarily there, that I always had just that worth ethic to not, I don't know if it's almost like a fear that I could lose it, because I have lost it and started all over again. I've lost it several times and had to start over. And so I don't know if, I feel like I always had that. I've always worked and kind of had that survival mindset, because either I was trying to get it, or I wanted to make sure we didn't lose it, or trying to maintain it.
That's real.
And so I really, to be honest, I just don't know if I ever stopped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And thanks for sharing that, because I think a lot of people feel that way or have experienced that.
Yeah.
And so to the moms listening, like, it's maybe you're not there and maybe you feel like you should be, and you're saying it's okay. Like I'm not
going to, no, let me come back. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying that's what happened.
Okay.
Because one of the things that, we talked to my daughter earlier, and you all, throughout this podcast, you'll hear from my kids. And one of their biggest complaints was that I was always at work.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I was always working. And so I missed a lot of stuff. And so I think that, so if, it's one of them things where if you could do anything over, I would have did more of the stuff. And the fact is that I was in leadership very young. And so I could have taken it, but then I would have had to, but I always had so much to do, but it wasn't like somebody was stopping me.
Right.
So I was at a place that in a position that I don't know if I necessarily really knew what that was, took full advantage of it, that I could have just left. Like nothing was going to happen if I left or whatever. But when I was at work, I was at work. And a lot of times they had to work with me.
Yeah.
You're coming to work. So my kids spend a lot of time at work. They're still working with me now.
Yep.
They know where to find me, right?
Yes.
I would tell a funny story. I hope I don't embarrass her, but I remember I understand that. Like, nobody's stopping you, but you are in that zone. You're in that mode. And I took the girls to work with me one day, and I was potty training Destiny. And she had a little accident in the work chair. But I mean, it's real. It's real.
Is.
Like, they were there. But sorry.
Anything else you wanted to add with that?
I guess when I just really think about, like, why did you do that? And I think it's just because I was doing something that I hadn't seen before in my family. And I really wanted that for my kids. And the things I had experienced, I never wanted them to experience. And so, and I feel like the only way, it went to what Chris was saying earlier, it was that work mindset. Like, I thought just working was going to build generational wealth. Just working was going to get me out. I did not have information, and which is why I had so many losses, which is why I shared them. And so I thought that working was going to be the key out. And even though I had saw my mom and grandma and everybody work my whole life. So yeah, that's all.
So good.
Yeah.
And so we work with a lot of moms who do feel like they have to work.
Exactly.
They have to be hustling, and it is, I do think, a really admirable skill set to have inside of you. But going back to what you were saying, like really focusing, what would you do differently?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And so funny because I said I wanted to talk about this because I watched this in our moms, and really till we started talking about this out loud, I couldn't figure out why it bothers me so much, to watch them. And I realized it's because I did the exact same thing, because I remember I had my first, I had my first job at 14. Before that, I had to babysit because I still had to buy diapers and do stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember I worked here at the little City Hall purchasing department with Claudia Washington. It was my first summer job. And so I've always worked. I think the difference is with me though, but I worked and I went to school.
Yes.
And I think that's might be some of the part of what I don't see today is that, and it's because of that exposure that I had, right? About I needed to go to college. I needed to get a scholarship, but that was going to really change my life. And so I see moms today, and they just they're coming in, and they just want to work, and they're working any job, whatever restaurant, whatever. They're not even CNAs, but whatever, like helping assistants in the nursing homes. They're just working just to work, but then they're not focusing on the school. So we're telling them, like, hey, we want you to slow down. We want you to focus on school. We want you to get some therapy. And stuff like that. But they're just like, no, I need to work. I need to get this money. But then they're getting that money. And what do? They're giving it to their family, or they're blowing it because they haven't been taught how to budget, how to invest it.
Yeah.
But they're doing what they know, what they've seen. All they know to do is to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so then that's why I'm like, okay, we got to have these conversations. First of all, we have to bring somebody in to teach them how to budget this money.
Yeah.
And then we need to have somebody, we need to have these conversations again. Like, you can work, but you need to go to school too.
Mm-hmm.
School needs to be the priority. And so, and take advantage of it now while you have access to things like subsidized housing, while you have access to things like childcare, while you have access to people like advocates, because you won't always have that.
Right.
And so really take advantage of the resources that you have.
Yes.
And so, and I think that, and that's so hard for people because they've never saw it. I think this has been extreme where they've seen people take complete advantage of resources and never move and never stay in the same. You know, I said when I worked in North Carolina, I moved people out of public housing. They had lived there for generations.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and so, and I think that's why I love about a lot of these young moms. They don't want that. So they saw that and they don't want it, or all they've seen is these strong women in their life that works, and they work any job. And I'm like, no, you can be a leader.
Yeah.
You can run companies. You can have your own business. Get the education right now. You know, get consistency. Get a budget.
That's good.
And my thing is like, and slow down. You know, and I think that's the thing about it. Slow down so that you can get these things and you can still be also a good mom.
Yes.
And go to your child's open house and go on this field trip and be on the PTA if that's what they do and go to their games. Like I missed so many games. And so I think that's the thing that I would really,
That's so good.
I'm trying to get into young moms today and really trying to like even share with our advocates to share with them. But they're like, why? What? Like there's no hurry. You know, we had one mom that rushed to move out into an empty place because it was a 2-bedroom. It was upstairs, downstairs, even though it was still subsidized housing. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. In that state, you can't get resources, da-da-da-da. And we had so many conversations with her, but then we had to stop because it had to be to the point where one thing is I'm going to have to let her learn this on her own. But I'm like, there's so many resources right here, right now. Like, take full advantage. Finish these 2 things first, and then you can go, you can own it. Like you can buy a townhouse and you just take advantage of this moment. But we want things right now, because someone is offering it to us.
Yes.
Just because somebody's
part.
offering you a
That's so
public
good.
housing unit don't mean you have to take it. Just because somebody's offering you a job at Chick-fil-A doesn't mean you have to take it. You have the right, because other people are not. You have the right to finish school. You have the right to get the education so you can get a better job. You know, you have the right to save money. If you qualify for this program or that, save your money so that you can be an owner, so that you can be a landlord.
Right.
You know, and so my advice to young moms is to breathe. You know, it's to slow down. It's to take advantage of the resources that's around you and the people. Ask all the questions. Get the information. Because you don't have to rush. If you're rushing to something, but it's not what you want, slow down. Slow down. Take the classes, get the information.
That's so good. You want to
5-second awkward pause.
have
'Cause
anything?
I don't know what the question was, but that answer is good. I received that from myself.
Yeah. I don't remember what the question was. It's just like,
Breathe. Yeah.
do you want to add to that at all?
I don't know what the question was. That was sufficient.
I know. That really was. I want to talk about loneliness for a little bit because I think that that's such a real experience for young mothers. And so I don't know if you are open to sharing, maybe not in detail, but just how did you deal with the loneliness of being, because it is isolating to be a teen mom. And so you talked about your experience a little bit, but how did you heal from it and deal with it so that you could, because you were in a different state with your older kids too, or a different place emotionally.
I watched a lot of my friends go to college, and it's not that I couldn't go to college as a young mom, but I thought that I couldn't. You know, I thought that I just needed to, and I did that. I just went and got a job, and I took the first job. Thank God the first job that I got was at a bank, but still, I thought I couldn't go to college. But I am glad to say that I am actually back in college right now. But I thought I couldn't go. I really, like, my focus was just them. Everything was on hold or everything Lavata related was on hold. My focus was on them. And I couldn't do what everybody else did. I couldn't really, I had to have a babysitter to party to hang out. So I didn't get invited. I didn't get invited a lot of places. Everybody was waiting on me to hear from my babysitter.
So real.
But, and you can't just leave your kids on anybody. So, but yeah, it was isolating a little bit, but it all in the end worked out for my good, I would say. So, I will say a downside too is sometimes you do get lonely. There's a difference between being alone and lonely, but you do get lonely. And I welcome the wrong company in my life for the sake of having somebody in my life. But I overcame that as well. But it's just one of the challenges that you face.
Yeah.
I think what I would say about the loneliness, and it was almost what I was just even talking about yesterday about being in the church. But I think that for me, I wasn't necessarily lonely because I always had friends around me because I went to school with other teen parents, right?
Yeah.
So we had the same stuff. We didn't have babysitters, or if we did, we would have to swap babysitters, or we had kind of the same life. And so I found it almost like-minded people. And I still have some of those same friends, like, Kiki, for example, Jamie, for example. We were all young moms. We all hung together. We all were at each other's house. We all shared resources with each other. And so I would encourage you just to find other young moms who want more.
Yeah.
If you want more, because I could have with another group.
Keyword.
Yeah. I'm not saying just find anybody, but find somebody that's like-minded.
Yeah.
They want more for themselves. They want more for their kids. And just a couple people, and sometimes it was two people, sometimes it was just one, But and we kind of hung. We did holidays together. We did our kids' birthdays together, and you just create your own community, your own family, and even if that's just with one other mom and one other child.
I actually eventually found my tribe, but it was, of course, I was a little older in my 20s.
Yeah,
but I did find my tribe, and we did that same thing.
Yeah, that's what you. That's what you do. You find
take kids to the park day, take kids to the museum.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And how you do that is going to those classes you don't want to go to. That's where they at. You're like, I don't want to go to another parenting class, or I don't want to go to this class or that group, or I don't want to live over there. That's where you find your people. That's where you find your people.
Yeah.
Going to that Fridays to the library where they're reading the toddlers. You find other moms there. Taking your kids to the different things, you find your people.
What do you say to the moms who sometimes, because we've heard this, and I think we've all felt this way at times, where you're like, well, no one understands what I'm going through, and sometimes that is true, but we've encouraged moms to do some of these things, but there's still that feeling of like, well, no, that no one understands me, and so how do you break through that? And did you ever get to that point in your parenting journey as a teen mom?
I think that I always knew that my story was different because there wasn't a lot of 12-year-old mamas, right? And so my story was different, but what I learned is that everybody has a story. And so even if somebody's story might not, when their teen parents start till they was 14, 16, or 18, they still have a story of how they were raised or what they've been through. And so it might not be your exact thing, but we all go through something. We all got to cross the bear, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that having that perspective that it might not be yours, but everybody get a turn.
Yep.
Yeah. Somebody just told me something. They was like, it's my turn. And I'm like, I don't want you to have a turn, But so I think that would say they might not be going through exactly what you're going through. It might not look like it, but if you take some time to have a conversation, they're going through something.
Yeah. And
unless you all probably
said,
wouldn't be in the same spaces.
Being open to what that looks like. Yeah.
I was just going to say, there's nothing new under the sun. Just, again, like you said, be open. Because that type of mindset, that's a mindset that isolates yourself. Nobody understands me.
Yeah.
Woe is me. But if you want to change your environment, you have to change your environment.
Mhm.
So get around people who maybe are where you want to be, who have a similar background. Use them as inspiration. When we were doing a tour, one of the moms said, D, I never had a mom to love me or teach me. You're like my mom.
Mhm.
Because she has that same story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's looking up to Diana
Yep.
as, if she can do it, I can do it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And hopefully she would want to come back and reach
Yeah.
other women in the next generation who end up in her
Yeah.
situation, So
And so that's what I think you it's almost like you're not invited to the table. They say create your own table.
Yes.
I think it's the same thing with the
love that.
community. I think that you build your own community, and I try to be intentional about that in our spaces, like at Annie's house. The goal. I love when I see that they're moved out, but they're all still friends and talking.
Yeah.
And then like even now at the Hope and Healing Center, they all are neighbors, but
And
then
they all
they
come
will
back to the
build,
sneaker ball.
and then they'll build their own community.
Mhm.
And some of those relationships, in my prayers for them to be lifetime. Some won't. Some are just for a season.
Yeah.
And some will be lifetime.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so they all don't have the exact story,
Yeah.
but something, at least one thing is in common. They ended them at the same place at the same time.
Mhm. Mhm. And I think too, I've told moms, like, be open to people who may not have your same lived experience. I think sometimes we get so stuck in, well, like, you don't understand what I've been through. And so it's like, or you've never been through anything, right? Because but that person can still breathe life into your life. And so be open to that, What are some ways that I do want to, okay, so we're going to wrap up here, but I do want to talk about advocacy. So when you were a teen parent, what did you find? Like, you are your own best advocate. So what were some ways that you found you advocated or could use your voice to advocate for yourself and your children as a teen parent?
I don't know if this actually answers the question, but one thing that I did do is I found resources to help me to get on my feet.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, the marriage was tumultuous. I went to the Texas Workforce Center. I did. I started taking some of their classes, their job trainings and things like that. And that really helped me. It helped me meet other people in the community, so I didn't feel so much alone. It helped me land good employment to be able to take care of my children. At the time, I had one child and was pregnant with the other one, but it helped me get some employment to do that. It helped me to set myself up to be able to get out of that situation that I was in too. So I just used the resources that were available to me to help. I found them.
That's good. Yeah.
And I don't know if advocacy has ever been an issue for me.
Yeah. As soon as I asked it, I was like,
and
well,
so, but what I would say is that, and I remember that people that has been an issue. And I remember even being young, advocating for other people, advocating for other moms. So I would say if you're that person that struggles with that, where you feel like the doctor's not listening to you, where you feel like the social worker's not listening to you, the teacher's not listening to you, take somebody with you. Somebody in your life who don't mind advocating. And so take them with you. Or if you're thinking like, is this me or whatever, if you just need to take another person to listen, another person to take notes, and I would say, so it's okay. Find somebody.
Yeah.
Find somebody. Take somebody with you. And we've had mom like, this doctor is not listening to me. And so then we go, There's advocates all across this community, but there's also community members, mothers, grandmothers that will go with you, And so if you can't advocate for yourself in this season, take somebody with you and watch how they do it and how they say it. What words should they say? How did they start? In this age, you probably can research it.
Yeah.
You can ask a Siri or Gemini or ChatGPT, what do I say? Like, this is my issue. How do I say this respectfully? And I get kicked out the doctor's office because I find that what happens is that we get so frustrated, then we explode.
Yeah.
And so then we're kicked out the hospital.
Yes.
The issue is not taken care of. Our child is still sick.
You face losing your child.
Yeah. And
Because
so they
medical negligence.
call on you.
Yeah.
And so exploding is not going to work. But we know the
Mhm.
only reason you explode because they wasn't listening. And so we acknowledge it and then just find somebody to go with us.
Mhm.
And sometimes they don't even have to speak. They just have to be there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just the presence. And you can say that, I want to speak. I just want you here with me. And sometimes you can say, I'm tired of talking to them. I need you to talk. You know, so you speak what you need. Be
Yeah.
clear on what you need.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
If you could say something to your younger self as thinking back to when you first became a parent, what would it be?
Man. Now this is where I'm gonna say, forgive yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
You didn't know what you didn't know. Your kids are healthy and they're well,
Yeah.
and you did a good job,
Yes.
or you're doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing a good job. Yeah, I had so much mom guilt because I was in survival mode, like we talked about, working and not being present in the beginning, or just being depressed, depression.
Yes.
And just, the baby wants you and you just can't get out of bed that day, but it all worked out and they still love you and they don't have children.
Yet.
Yeah. I'm on my second generation of kids. I told them they got to wait until their youngest brother is 10. I'll be grandmama of the year. Just let them grow up a little bit.
I was trying to find a letter because in my book, I wrote a letter to my 12-year-old self. So I was trying to see if I could find it, but I can't. But I think that my biggest thing is just I would say is that everything is going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that we move like we move because we feel like it's not going to be okay. And so I think that I would say to you that everything's going to be okay. I think I would say that nothing is ever wasted. I believe that everything we go through is a part of the purpose of our own lives and a calling in our lives. And so, but we don't go through it for us to overcome it, but we go through it so we can go back and help somebody else. I think that purpose leaves clues. So everything you're going through is a clue to what you're called to do and who you're called to. And so that's what I would say. And you're not thinking about like purpose and your future and all this. You're just trying to survive.
Right.
But when you look back over, you see that you've made it through.
Yep.
And when you look at like who you are in 10 years, you're going to say, I had to go through that to be here.
Man.
Yeah.
Or someone standing in front of you and you're hearing their story and you can be able to pour into them. And it's going to be because of what you went through. Because I don't believe that everything we go through is for ourselves. Sometimes we go through stuff because of the people that we're called to. But I think the biggest thing that I like to say is that everything is going to be okay. I'm not saying it's going to be easy.
Right.
I'm not saying it's not going to be hard times, but I'm going to say that it's going to be okay and that you're an overcomer and you're going to make it through it and find your people.
Yeah.
Or your person. Yeah.
And then my final question, because now you're at a point where you're able to look back, but as you look ahead 10 years from now, what would you hope to say to yourself now? Is that I don't know does that make sense?
Yeah.
10 years, 20 years from now, if you can visualize yourself, what is it you hope to say to yourself as you sit here today?
I'll go first because I feel like you always just wrap it up with a bow real good.
Yes, and that will be the wrap up.
I would say,
and sorry, I'm asking that because I think so often teen parents can't see themselves a year from now, let alone where we're sitting now, let alone 20 years from where we're sitting now. So I just think it's really helpful for listeners to hear, like, we still are going to look back on where we are right now. Yeah. And you can do that. You know, you've survived and you will continue to survive. So what would you say to yourself?
So,
you will be 50.
Oh my gosh, I will be 50. Yeah. I will be, exactly. I'm not 40 yet though. Give me a couple months, a few months. But I would say, I'll preface by saying when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a lawyer. But I felt like I forfeited all my plans, everything I wanted to be with my ex-husband.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I literally, another conversation, but I hope that in 10 years, because I'm working towards it now, but I hope that in 10 years, I'll be able to look back at this moment and say, you did it. You're officially a lawyer.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I'll be 60 and I want to be retired. Keep saying that. And be on the board of Divine Connections and whatever other organizations that I support. Mm-hmm. And just like I talked about earlier, just seeing the fruit of my labor. You know, having my grandkids more. I already have 5, but now I got 3 more, and I got more coming to me. Mm-hmm. And just being able to be a grandma and showing up for them where I couldn't be a mom. Mm-hmm. You know,
that's so good.
And so really just being with my grandchildren and watching the fruit not only of my children, but families that I've served, poured into. I look forward to seeing them in different positions in the community, in the state, in the country, watching just whole families, watching people healed, you know, and helping other people doing the work. I look forward to that. In my rocking chair. On my porch with my flowers, watering my plants.
I can see it now.
You will only be 60.
Yeah.
You will not be
No,
old.
I already got a rocking chair. Like I embrace it, doing my puzzles and coloring. I am an old woman at heart. And you know, and then just still sharing wisdom when it's asked of me.
Thank you both. Anything you want to end with that we didn't touch on?
I want to see everything she sees for my kids. I'm sorry, it was my moment.
You know, I think that, you know, I really want to do this episode, and I want to do some episodes just to talk to teen moms, because sometimes it's looked, you know, I want them to look forward and know that you can still be a leader.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, you can still go to school for a lawyer at any age. You know, Lavata's in finance, and the financial manager. I'm a leader. We're both business owners. You know, and so it doesn't matter what people say, and it don't matter what you do. You can literally do whatever you want to do at any age, even with the child on your side. Will being a mom make it harder? Yes. But can you do it? Yes. You've given birth at your age. You can do anything, honey. You are a superwoman. And so that's what I say, is that to take your time. There is no rush. And do what it is that you're called to do. Do what you want to do, not what people are giving you. I think that sometimes we feel like we have to take whatever people are going to give us. I'm here to tell you that you don't have to take it. Do the work, finish the school, get the degree, start the business, get the therapy, go to the gym, do whatever it is that you got to do to get what it is that you want for you and your family. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
It's an honor.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us today. If something spoke to you, please share this with a friend who you think could really benefit from this episode. And remember, to help our show grow and reach more people just like you, make sure to follow the show and leave a 5-star review. And if you want to continue to have critical and courageous conversations, well, then we'll see you in the next episode.